The goal in your life is not to figure out how to be comfortable in your mental prisons, but to realize that you have the keys to set yourself free.
Hey everybody, welcome back to How to Be Mesmerizing, and today we've got a very special guest. I'm super excited about this one. Tony Rubleski is with us today. Tony, woo!
Now we're here. We got our working hat on. It's a Monday, so good to see you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. So for anybody that doesn't know who Tony is, Tony Rubleski is a world champion when it comes to not only being an amazing speaker and an amazing business strategist, coach, but he also is a elite program and event promoter and planner. This guy puts on amazing programs where he takes this eclectic group of amazing minds and puts everybody into one room and gets them collaborating and strategizing together so that people are, as Tony would say, we're capturing minds and profits. And it's very exciting. So Tony, I'm really glad that you carved some time into your busy schedule to be with us today.
Well, it's an honor, and we're looking forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming events. And we were referred and brought together, and the person, Johnny Campbell, when he introduced you, I said, I better follow up with this guy because Johnny's been a great friend, knows the business inside out. And like I said, when we talked a few weeks ago, he vouched for you. I was like, if Johnny says you're sharp, let's get together. So here we are.
So here we are. That's fantastic. So you've had quite a career, and your focus really is on capturing minds and standing out from the crowd, right? Mm-hmm. You've got this whole mind capture book series. And so tell me a little bit about how you ended up going in that particular direction.
Well, I'd like to think it was this genius idea that just came down from on high. But 16, 17 years ago, Tim, the first manuscript was written. I was like 29, 30 years old, two little kids at home. I was working as an ad guy and a VP of an ad agency. And I had this strong compulsion from a lot of people that knew me to write a book. Like, you need to write a book. You know how to market. And I'd pushed it off because my daughters were very young. And I used the traditional, I'm too busy. So the book eventually, after about 18 months, came to be. And when I was getting ready to name the book, I'm like, what's a great title? Because, you know, marketing, you got to have, it's a 2-second attention span world, or 6-second, excuse me. What's the title? So I'm looking at my library, and there's an audio tape series. This is how long ago it was. It's Jay Abraham Presents Mind Capture Over Los Angeles, the great marketing wizard Jay Abraham. And I looked at it, I said, there it is. That's the entire thing I'm trying to see was 2 words, mind capture, or what I call attention. So fast forward a couple years later, Tim, I met Jay Abraham in Detroit, ironically, at an event near the Detroit Metro Airport. And I walked up and I gave him a book. I said, Jay, thank you for being a mentor, just a legend in our industry. Here's a copy of my book. And he looked at it and he kind of went, it looks familiar. I said, well, Jay, you know, I have to give you kudos. You did a seminar in Los Angeles called Mind Capture Over LA. And that's where I drew the name. Thank you. And he kind of smirked like, interesting. Like, that was a good pickup, you know? So, you know, giving credit, I'm a big believer. Long before authenticity was big online, you continually give proper credit to those that influence you, you know, the best you can. And if they've had a direct influence, you thank them, like I did with him face-to-face by signing the book to him. So my whole thing, Tim, for your audience around the world is we're in an attention war. I didn't know it'd get worse 17 years later. You know, Dan Kennedy, some of the bigger names in direct marketing, I've been blessed that they asked me for opinions on this. But they seem to keep coming back to, why is there a problem with attention? And I've studied it. I get around smarter people. I interview like you do. And I try to draw the data and look for patterns or trends. And the trend is this device I'm holding. If you're listening to the audio, I'm holding my cell phone right now, is a blessing and a curse. Instant everything, instant expectation, but it also destroys attention. So how do you manage that? How do you juggle it? And everyone listening right now, they're a split second away, Tim, from someone interrupting them, a text, a phone call, something dinging on their computer. So what used to be a period of maybe 15, 20 seconds in good direct marketing now is less than 10 seconds. So I'm continuing to say, wow, I couldn't have foreseen this, Tim. I did not know that the cell phone would crash into our world, especially as a speaker. You know, I do 50 to 60 dates a year. I'm seeing this thing 10 years ago start to show up in the audience, the cell phone. Now it's like in front of the guest. Now, if they're not engaged, they look at it. Or if they have something urgent, they look at it and come back to me. You know, as a speaker, you have to do your best to hold it. So the three things I teach around the world is how do you get attention, mind capture. Second thing you move into is how do you get people's time where you can hold them the best you can. And three, how do you establish credibility rapidly? We're in the age of Google. And I always tell the audiences, we're in the age of how Google-licious are you? And a lot of times before people reach out, email, text you, call you, dare call you, especially if they're under 30, forgive me, millennials, is they're going to Google you. They're going to want to know if you're anything like somewhat credible. And it's getting harder and harder to find out who are the charlatans and who are the legit people, as Seth Godin would teach me. And I've interviewed him many times, because everyone can put a website up. Everyone can do a blog. But when you dive deeper down with attention and you look at the history, then the credibility usually starts to appear. So how's that?
Outstanding. You got right to it right off the bat, which is amazing. So let's break this down a little bit. So for everybody listening, the first thing that Tony did when you're trying to build credibility is you're giving lots of praise to others, right? You're going through life creating goodwill, thanking people, appreciating people, lifting people up. I've met certain people in my life who are always afraid that, well, if you make other people look good, then they're getting all the sunshine and then you're supposed to be shining it on you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, stop that.
They haven't heard of Zig Ziglar. If you help enough people become successful, you eventually end up successful. Hello, Zig.
That's right. Big fan of Zig, because he's someone who really walked the talk, right? And when you lift others up, you go up with them. And so, you know, our fearful beliefs are always the thing that gets in our way more than anything else. So we think that what's holding us back is outside of us, but almost always what's holding us back is what's inside of us. So, and then the idea that you are competing constantly with your phone, and the phone is designed to distract you, put you on different tangents. And then like a half hour later, you're on Facebook and you're like, how did I even get here? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I teach the attention problem, but I'm just as guilty at times. I'm like, okay, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say it's extremely addictive.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when you're loving it. So you gave an example about people in your audience having one. So I just did a gig at a conference, and a woman came up to me and she said, best program I ever heard anywhere. And I'm like, wow, thank you. I said, make sure you put a review. So they asked me back and she said, I already did.
Wow.
Which means that she was on her phone, even though she's watching the best program she ever saw in her whole life, but she's on her phone typing how great it was instead of actually listening to me. Because we are so entrenched with our phone now that it's like a running part of us, right? It's like you've got your phone, your thoughts, and what's happening in present time, and it's all kind of happening simultaneously. And so to be able to stand out when you have something as alluring as your phone, you know, is really something. So, you know, it's pretty amazing. You have some, for people that don't know, Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham. I mean, these are the, you know, gods of the marketing world. And of course, Tony. And so now these people are coming and asking you, how do you grab attention? What are some nuggets that you share with these guys that you could share with everyone listening now?
Well, first of all, I want to backtrack real quick. These are mentors that I was very fortunate to get around because of their mentors. My brother gave me a Jay Abraham book when I was 20. Because he went to Jay's seminars. My brother's 13 years older, but he's very, very bright marketer. Mm-hmm. I started reading this in college. I was studying marketing. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense compared to what I'm learning in the classroom. So it brought in some very good ability to question marketing, street level versus academic level. And they're both necessary. And getting around Dan Kennedy when I was in my early 20s, now I've been around Dan for 22, 23 years, Tim. That was a stroke of luck. I didn't know he'd become that good. I bought his system at a Peter Lowe event with Zig Ziglar was speaking and General Schwarzkopf and the presidents, and he was the last speaker. And for some reason, like the stadium was clearing out, and I bought his stuff. And I remember my wife's like, "What'd you spend that money on?" At the time, and I said, "Well, this stuff seems to connect," and I utilized, and it worked. So I stayed in touch with these mentors, and would just kind of check in periodically. And I started to go to Dan Kennedy events, and we got to know each other before he kind of hit rock star status in the direct marketing world. Again, it's a very small niche, but a lot of your marketers online know of the name, or they like, oh yeah, we study with him, or we go to his events. Mm-hmm. So when they interview me, it's intimidating when they ask, well, how do you get it? The simplest thing I can say is you have to have a lot of social proof. Now, this is a big term on online circles for the last 5-6 years. Now what shifted the last 2 years I see out interviewing and on the road and talking to CEOs and you know, conferring back with audiences, authentic. Everyone's saying, we want you to be authentic. To me, here's the note. If you're listening, here's maybe one big takeaway. Be yourself and be real. I'm wearing a ball cap today. I'm not going to sugarcoat the fact when I'm on stage, I usually have a pink tie or I'm dressed kind of sharp. I'm in the office today working on an event that I'm promoting where I'm doing a lot of phone and email work. It's a little bit more casual. That's authentic. Now, if I said, Tim, hold on, before we get on, I'm going to put my pink tie on and my sport coat over on the door on, to me, I'm being disingenuous. Yeah. But people are looking for real. In the internet, everything is like this wide open, evergreen space. And people can put anything up they want. The challenge now, and I've been rereading some Seth Godin work, who I've interviewed a few times, is to find out that now we're in a war where people expect that you're going to pay attention to you. They're not. Matter of fact, they're going to push back and resist. If it's nowhere near what they've even interested or looking for, they're going to really rebel. If it seems too overt of a pitch or it's mismatched, they're going to delete it, report you, or they're going to get offended by it. Mm-hmm. So my whole point is, this is shocking to some of your listeners. Everyone's in marketing, Tim. Yeah. I do chamber talks over the U.S. I have ministers. I have United Way directors in the audience. I have traditional marketers, insurance, sales, that have sales associate or sales manager. In the first 5 minutes, I quickly try to lay out the case that here's the deal. We're all in selling. We're all trying to get attention, or I call mind capture. So don't be fooled. You think, well, I'm not a salesperson like you, Tony, or I'm not an author. You get this too, Tim. I say, well, here's the deal. Time out. Everyone's in marketing now. And I usually walk through a few steps. The attorney that's sponsoring me at the head table, the CPA firm in the back of the room that's kind of scared by my energy. I say, you're all in selling, right? Or marketing? No, we don't do that. Ridiculous. Do you need new clients? Yep. Do you need new donors? They're director of United Way. Mr. Rabbi or priest, do you need donors or parishioners to fund projects? Yes. You're all in the marketing business. Yeah. And what's fascinating is not to ever offend or preach on them. It's to really, with passion and conviction, authentically say, we're all in a marketing attention war. There's far too many churches online you can look around, and I'm not anti-religion. You and I had this talk. I love my faith walk, but the best churches know they have to still market, Tim. Mm-hmm. The best faiths, you don't see Mother Teresa's work, even though she's passed away, that they're not collecting money still. They're still marketing. Mm-hmm. Politicians market. Lawyers market aggressively now. Everything has changed. But what hasn't changed is the fact that people say, well, I'm going to make the assumption they're going to pay attention because we've got the best product or service, or the best campaign pitch, or the best church program missionary trip. They're not paying attention typically unless you do a few things. You get to the point quickly. You give them social proof, testimonials. This stuff is as old as day to you and I, Tim. But what's changed is a medium. Now you can shoot a video on your phone as I hold my phone up. You can upload it to YouTube in 2 to 3 minutes and send it around the world. You can go on Facebook Live with a click, and you can do a live interview or do an interview like we're doing to establish social proof. So the big takeaway, what someone else says about you is 1,000 times more believable than you.
Yes.
And if you have negative reviews, this is known in the writer world as an author of multiple books, you keep the negative reviews there because it shows that people actually disagree. And you're going to have in any, ratio of maybe say 50 reviews, you're going to have statistically 2 to 5 that don't like you no matter what. They probably never read your work. So people are looking for that semblance of, hey, what's authenticity mean? Or being authentic and real. They're looking for someone they can maybe trust. 2 words there, maybe trust. Because the entrance into the game, when I say Googleicious, is they need to go online before they engage you to see if you have a website, a page, and your Yelp reviews. Do you have testimonials like you do, Tim, as a speaker? Do you have any video? They're trying to make sure you don't waste their time either.
Sure.
So it's, with all the messages, the counts now are about 5,000 to 6,000 ads per day are hitting the average North American. And the numbers keep increasing. From the first mind capture book, manuscript 17, 18 years ago, it was a few hundred. Now you're at 5,000 to 6,000. I can see it quantifiably continue to escalate because now you have online, your laptop, your phone, or your tablet, you don't buy a product, for example. Let's say, Tim, you wanted to buy golf clubs last year. That ad is probably still going to haunt you, or it's going to cookie and follow you for many, many months. Okay, I'll give you a recent example. I have a problem with snoring. I found out it's kind of embarrassing. I went and looked at some stuff. I clicked on a Facebook ad, and guess what's following me on my Facebook feed? Snoring ads for like 2 months now. Yeah. So they're either going to say, I'm going to say uncle, or they're going to beat me to submission and say, all right, I'm going to order today from Amazon or whatever company my snoring device. Yeah. So that's another increase of count, because now the AI, the cookie technology of Google and search and Facebook, the algorithms have gotten so smart, they keep coming at you constantly unless you shut it off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my quickest thought is make sure you find the right match, get testimonials.
Yeah.
When you know your lane, your niche, get very good in there, because the second component of mind capture is referrals. I teach a session called Referral Magic around the world. I've taught it for Remax, John Deere, all the way down to little chambers of commerce throughout the US. What everyone wants to know is, how do I find customers quicker, easier, that are better matched, that already know about me or have heard about me? And if they say, you know what, you work with that bank, I can maybe trust you as a bank looking at your product or service, for example. So social proof, doing a great job, and then getting referrals, or I call them introductions, from your best clients that know, like, and trust you. I know that's an overdone term, KLT, but it's timeless for a reason, because it's a universal core marketing principle. So proof, then you do a good job, you get referrals or introductions, and then from there you continue to rinse and repeat. Because getting a good, happy client is not as easy as people think. And then once you get them, it's saying, hey, who else could you introduce me to that I could maybe do the same thing for?
Yeah.
That's not a hard pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty soft. It's conversational. And if they've already written a testimonial, like that gal did in your session, guess what? I'm giving you a bonus here, Tim. Follow up with a thank you note to her or a book. And then maybe put her and say, look, you know, I have a weekly message of value, or on Facebook. Make sure she stays in touch with you so you can maintain that relationship. If she likes your content, she likes you. And maybe in a month or two, you circle back and say, you know what? I appreciate that. Are there a couple of other groups that you're a part of or at your company that I could maybe help? You'd be shocked. We don't get unless we what? Ask. And a lot of the referral teaching under the Mind Capture brand is deceptively simple, because people don't have the bandwidth for 17 steps typically. They want it right now. They want to know, like, yesterday if they can get it, because they're used to Amazon, Domino's Pizza, Google giving them everything right now.
Yep.
So it's kind of a long explanation there, with the two takeaways: social proof, do a great job, and then get introductions and referrals from your best clients.
Yes. Outstanding, Tony. So, all right, there was so much there. I hope everybody, you're going to have to rewind this and go back and because it was so good. So, so let's break this down. So everybody's in marketing. That's true. Another way of saying, you know, everybody's trying to get you to think the way that I'm thinking, right? Or try to persuade you into taking action that, you know, even when you go home tonight and we're talking about what are we going to have for dinner, right? We're going to market what I think we should have, what they might want, right? And so we're always trying to get other people to go the same direction we want to go in. And so everybody really is in the game of sales and marketing. The ones who know it are the ones who do the best with it, right? People who say that I don't like it.
We hope. There are a few charlatans out there, especially in our industry. You know, I talked about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certain people out there that, you know, are putting up a good show, but they're not walking the talk. And when you start to understand what they're really about, and that's why you have to dig more than just a website. And that's why people do have their guards up, because on the internet, everybody can look like a guru. Everybody can look like all of a sudden they're, you know, an expert. And when you realize that, no, they just know how to put together a really good website and they're good with copy. You know, there's a lot of people out there making money and they're making money off of people who want to make money, but they've never actually done the thing. And so, you know, you get that. And those are the people saying, hey, I made $6 million sitting in my underwear doing nothing. You can buy my course. And we know that, you know, anybody that's been successful in this game knows you work your butt off. Yeah. And so there isn't the easy road. There's just the road and how committed are you. So that's really good. As far as social proof, I had a mentor. You're right on with that too. I had a mentor one time that said, don't work for the money, work for the testimonials, right? Work for that. And it's kind of funny that you're talking about that, or you talked about golf clubs, because earlier this morning I had this college golfer that I'm coaching and mentoring, and I won't play the video, but it's him and Enrico. He's from Spain, and he is crushing it, right? And so today I said, hey, can we do a testimonial? Because he's playing better than he has in 3 years. And he's like, sure. You know, so I get this good looking golfer with the Spanish.
I see the picture. That's awesome.
You know, and that's proof. I was doing it this morning. So what you're saying is right on. In fact, the other thing, I had Bob Berg on the show the other day, and awesome. I did my program with him. He sends me a thank you note, right? Just puts it on here.
Myself.
Sure you do. Because Bob is an expert at writing those handwritten notes. So I'm showing everything that you just said is 100% accurate. And if people aren't taking time to write those notes, if people aren't taking time to get those testimonials, and if you're afraid to ask for the referral, it just means that you haven't given enough value, right? Or you have a belief that you need to upgrade. Because if you've given value, then you'll feel comfortable saying, who else could I help? And they'll say, well, you got to talk to my friend here because they're going to love you. I mean, you were awesome for us, and they're going to want to refer you because of the law of reciprocity, right? You help me, I want to help you back.
Well, it goes back to a classic book that you and I know, The Science of Influence by Robert Cialdini, Arizona State. And I read that 15, 20 years ago, and there's an updated version, which is even better. One of the core tenets of his is reciprocity, how he did the studies. And it's fun when you give out and you don't expect anything back. If literally an hour ago we'd done the interview, I had a book on here for a friend and client of many years up in Maine. Her name is Karen. And we were talking Friday about some stuff that it turned to life and what she's doing now, semi-retired. She ran a chamber of commerce. That's where she booked me a few times. And I had a strong compulsion after the phone call to go pick up a book called The Artist's Way by Julie Cameron. And it's great for writers. I'm reading it again right now. And I went to Barnes & Noble last night and bought her a copy. And I wrote it out this morning. And it was sitting on my desk, and I mailed it at lunchtime here in the East.
Nice.
So it was literally right over in the corner of my desk. And I went and mailed it real quick when I grabbed a sandwich because I'm right downtown here in my office. And I just thought that was a joy because she's not going to expect it. There's no intent for her to send me a book back. But I could tell she's making a pivot and she wants to help people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this book is helping me. Why would I not share it? Law of recency, go get it. So I wrote a note when I got off the phone, put it in my car to go to Barnes & Noble. And I just thought, that's the joy of business.
Yeah.
Is those little details mean everything. And so many people, there's nothing wrong as I hold my phone to do a text. What I love to do is do a little bit more mind capture power on is I take a photo and send a fun photo of them. Or if I get a referral or an introduction to an event, I'll have to take a picture at the event with the meeting planner or the CEO and send it right there in real time to the person that referred me months ago. I'm like, hey, guess who I'm with? They immediately respond to him. They're cracking up. Tell him I said hi or tell her hello. And it opens that whole door like, hey, I didn't forget who brought me to the party. And here we are. We're having fun. Thank you so much. And the client loves it because they're looping back that their decision, hopefully I do good. I usually do a pretty good job. That it was a smart decision to bring me in because I'm reminding them, hey, this is how I got here was a referral. So guess what happens when I follow up with them? Hey, when I was referred from Mike, curious who are a couple of other companies or groups that have association meetings that maybe I could do the same thing for. How did I get there, Tim? I was referred in. I do a good job of follow-up. I've earned a testimonial or a video testimonial because you can get them. And if I do a follow-up and say, hey, post-meeting, what'd you guys like? What were some things that maybe I need to work on? Oh, by the way, if they seem to like it, then I ask.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, Tony was referred in. So the pattern of events is he was referred in. Maybe if we trust him and we like him, we can refer him out. It's different than cold calling. I did cold calling, knocking on doors here, knocking on my desk. I did it for many, many years in my 20s, door to door, selling phone service. But it taught me no fear. It also taught me that cold calling is not fun. And that marketing was the way to go because it saves you time. You're as Dan Kennedy taught me, a cold caller is looked at as an uninvited pest. A referral is a welcome guest. Think of the wordplay there. He's trying to tell us. He's so right. In good marketing, and I just still do some prospecting, but I might mail an email to a state bank association when I've got 4 other letters or videos from their peers that opens the door. So they might go, we've heard of this guy, or let's see. My friend over in Missouri says he's good. California says he's good. Maybe I'll take a phone call or a phone appointment with him. That's everything. That's not a pure cold call. That to me is targeted prospecting work because you already have references. They know they're going to back check you in the age of Google. It doesn't work every time, but I get many phone appointments and email exchanges going because I use third-party proof that is specifically matched to them or people they know directly, Tim.
That's a very, very good point, right? You got to match them because, so if I had if you have a testimonial from, someone in the banking industry and you take that testimonial to a CPA firm, there is a total mismatch there, right? You would take that testimonial to other banks. And sometimes people, they make that mistake. They're like, well, you know, I want to use this for everything and for all my testimonials instead of you know, staying in the same lane. So just like what you said, if you're trying to sell a product and you grab somebody with an ad and they come to your website and that ad doesn't match the website itself, right? If you have this ad to grab their attention and then, you know, because they want to stop snoring, right? And you take them to the website and it's about weight loss, you know, they're going to immediately click off and be mad at you because it's not relevant to what's, you know, what's important to them and what's in it for them. And so many of us are thinking, you know, what's in it for me? And you have to be always, you know, others focused. What are they going to get out of it, and step into their shoes and figure out, you know, what is it they want to hear? What's going to put their defenses up? What would make them feel more open and trusting towards you, and really step into the other person's shoes, no matter who it is that you're trying to influence. So you started putting together these pretty amazing results. So I've heard about your programs from top speakers out there who have participated in your programs, and they're like, oh, they're fantastic. And Tony has this gift of being able to bring all these amazing people together. And you're like, how are all these different people in the same room? Which I love the diversity of that, right? You don't want a bunch of just the same people. You want an eclectic group because of the power of diversity. And you're a genius at it, right? And these are from other people who are telling me that about you. And so, which made me want to meet you and get to know you better. And so how did you end up becoming an amazing event strategist and promoter, and then even a global promoter? How'd that come about?
That's a very deep question. Thank you for the compliment. And I will definitely give him credit as I point to God. My faith walk, it's no longer just me, Tim. And for many years I was getting by and it was all me, all me. Time out, Tony. People helped you. We talked about that in the beginning. But for a long time, I didn't have the spiritual component figured out. I was just kind of winging it. And it hit me a couple years ago. I remember the April 10th, 2017. I said, I'm done living this way. I want to have the higher power God take over. So I give him all the credit now. I will do the earthly work. It doesn't mean the law of attraction. I sit around and, hey, God, will you make this happen or get me this gig or that speaker? I still have to do the research, read their books, do their homework, and hustle, Tim.
Yeah.
Here's the big however. I think what's happened is getting the event business was not a fluke. I had a lot of core people who are like, look, you should do an event or a 1 or 2 day retreat. So my first event was back in 2009, or a mind capture boot camp, which now we're coming up 10 years this year. And it's the 8th annual event where I'm going to see you in Detroit. But we had 2 years where I did 2 separate events that were much bigger under different brand names. So there were 2 independent events within the mind capture company, but they had different titles and they were in different locations and different groups. The biggest thing I could say is doing a live event is very challenging. Now, I have a lot of alumni that like to go to every event. Some can't make it certain years, but it's a labor of love, because marketing in the summertime when everyone's busy, especially here in the Midwest like you and I, no one's paying attention. Now they're like, oh, I heard you got an event coming up. We could have had Facebook ads. They follow me. I'm sending them my email list that they opt in for. They see a video. They see tagging going on. They're like, I think something's coming up. Now that might have been 15, 20 impressions. And they want to be contacted because they know, like, and trust me. But all of a sudden, September, they go, oh, something's coming up. Maybe I should check it out. Back to school thinking for adults too. So the event thing is very challenging. There's a lot of faith that goes into it. What I enjoy about it is watching people's reaction when they get there. And they go, whoa. We do masterminding on day 1 where it's best practices for a couple of hours at round tables with very different industries sitting around the table that usually never talk to each other from a perspective of help, to serve. We're not here to be negative. Leave your ego at the door. That's one of my mantras for all my speakers. You don't like one of the speakers, leave it out in the parking lot or the airport. Because if I picked you and you wanted to be here willingly, we're going to learn from each other. So that's one component. I think reputation is very important, Tim. People now can Google me. I've been at this a long time. I just won't die. Just, 15 years full time. I feel like some years it's like dog years. I'm like, man, I had a good year. The next year might be challenging for a variety of reasons. I've also had some personal stuff in my life happen. That's, I'm human too. That cost me a few years where momentum might have been moving upward. All of a sudden, kind of went flatline. And during that 15 years, I've had a couple bad years. Mm-hmm. But I thank God that we've been able to survive and do the right thing. But there's been some years I'm like, man, this is a lot of work. But it keeps me hungry. I think the reputation, when I do an ask out, or direct ask where I'm referred to a speaker. They do their homework and go, yeah, we've heard about him, like you had indicated. So I'm grateful for that. And events to me too, Tim, there's still something about a live gathering. In the age of digital, with like we're doing this on a Zoom, you can do phone calls, Skype calls. People still, there's the joy of interacting face to face and the group energy dynamic that can't be replicated unless you're live.
True.
And typically it's your most ardent fans or clients. It's like my VIP party, really. I invite my top clients first, my alumni, at the same time, key people that have been following me for the last year. Hey, I want to learn more about you. I don't do a lot of one-on-one coaching anymore like I used to. Simply because I'm touring, writing, and I do the annual event. So for many years, I did one-to-one coaching or one-to-group coaching. It kind of burned out. It was like, okay, pick your lane. Do one event per year, continue to write a new book every year, and speak now up 60 to 80 times a year. We up that. So it's a repositioning, 15 years into the business. But it's fun. In the eclectic part, I'm like, if I went to an event, I'd want something to really surprise me. It's the type of event where if I sat in the audience, because I do, taking notes in between speakers, I sometimes take pages of notes. I'm like, man, this is the type of event I want to go to. That's how I structure it. And there's some names I ask for that agree to do it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then some that I would think do it, oh, we're too busy. But as I look at the 4 agreements here, Don Miguel Ruiz's work on my office vision board. The second one is don't take anything personally. I've learned I'm going to get a lot of no's, Tim. It's sort of the unwritten rule of speaking. You know this. I get a ton of no's, not only for people I ask to speak at my events, but I get a lot of no's from meeting planners. Not the right time, not the right budget. We went with the governor, maybe next year. And there's some groups I get on the stage 6 years later, 7 years later. I follow up. The timing hits. Some groups, hint, hint, book me right away. I prefer that. But it's the illusion that, people say, I want to do like you do. I'm like, well, are you sure? There's something different about when you move from kind of interested to committed. Everything changes. John Asseroff spoke at my event in California 6 years ago. Has a great quote. There's no such thing as being half pregnant. Kind of like you're either in or you're out here. And for any aspiring speakers or authors that are maybe dreaming of this, the key thing is to find a good mentor. And then you got to work. You got to practice speaking. So I know I'm going a little bit of a tangent off the event here. But as you might imagine, there are many speakers and authors at various levels. You're going to be at the Detroit event that are there to learn. I still go to events too, Tim. I'm learning best practices. There's sometimes I'm speaking at an event on day 2 in the morning. I'll go to the afternoon on day 1. I just did this 2 weeks ago in Minneapolis. I watched the other 2 speakers. And ironically, the guy that went on the day before me co-founded Century 21, Bob McKinnon. I sat in the back of the room. I took 3-page notes going, man, I could pay to be at this conference. This guy started one of the biggest real estate companies in the world. He's going on in front of me. So I'm like, thank you, promoter. This is kind of nice, So I'm continuing learning. In this business of events, it's also theme driven. Let me give you a couple of advanced tips here. We have a theme this year, Detroit Rock City. It's in Detroit. There's great music there. You got Motown, you got rock and roll, you got everything from Eminem to Madonna to Ted Nugent to the bands that you hear that are on the radio constantly. Bob Seger, okay? But it's got to be fun. People buy an experience. Ding, ding, ding. 30 minutes in, someone advanced that knows the business goes, oh, that's maybe the trigger or the little takeaway or the little nugget was the fact that they're buying an overall experience of it better be fun. It has to be about them. They have to meet great people. The faculty should be pretty good. And the theme's kind of interesting. So there's some moving pieces or dynamics that have to synergistically lock in where people go, okay, I'm going to reserve a ticket.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of moving pieces that you hope that their mind checks off and says, you know what, I think I'm going to make time to go to this. So I hope that helps.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. So again, when you start talking, there's so many golden nuggets, so many ideas, right? So yeah, so of course, when you go to experience, it's something magical about actually being there with other people, especially walking in and not knowing anybody else. There's a lot of magic in walking away with someone that's a new friend, right? Yeah. That you can stay connected with. They become your accountability partner, or you start a mastermind group, or they have some tools and resources, or maybe just a different perspective than you. And that's the true value. I mean, the speakers and the knowledge that you're going to gain is amazing, but it's all the other relationships. You know, a lot of times I'll go to a conference just to make those new friends and have those relationships.
Yeah.
And so important. And then of course, making it fun, right? Thinking about how they're going to experience this from the moment they walk in and what's going on, especially for the people that are more introverted and shy, you know, that are going to hug the walls. How do you make them feel comfortable and safe and glad they came, and right? And so, and it doesn't have to be fabulous. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. Like when I was at the HR conference, the theme was Hollywood, right? Old Hollywood. And they had just rented these cardboard cutouts of movie stars and put them around the hallway, right? It's like, oh, there's Brad Pitt, you know.
That's brilliant.
Selfies with Brad Pitt, right? Just a cardboard cutout. And they put some more glitter and sparkly, you know, shiny tablecloths and stuff like that. So it was low budget, but it felt high class, right? And it just created an experience as opposed to just coming to an event. And so I think that's great that, you know, you think about it in that way. And just having music and where you choose, you know, having it in Detroit is exciting because of the music and that. So even going there itself is an experience. And then I always look at the lineup of speakers that you have, and it's like really amazing people. And a lot of times people that you would never get at one conference. Like you'd have to go to like 10 different conferences to have access to the kinds of speakers that you break in or bring in. And for them to get all of that in one place is pretty spectacular. So how can people find out about your event in Detroit? And so you can come and hang out with us.
Well, I appreciate that shameless plug, sir, but you're going to be there too. So it's better be good. It's real easy to go to mindcapturebootcamp.com. So MIND, then capturebootcamp.com. You can find me on social media pretty easily at Tony Rubleski, or Mind Capture is my Facebook business page. But no, it's a lot of fun. I think here's what I also want to do while I feel the moment right now. Is to thank all the speakers the last 10 years. And this is sort of like the 10th year in business of doing events. I'm reaching out and inviting a lot of the speakers to kind of like come home to the party. It's been 10 years now. And some actually are going to probably sneak in as far as they're going to make it. No one's going to know, like, oh my gosh, you spoke at that event, or we saw you in Chicago or in Las Vegas years ago. It's also for me a fun gathering of really good, like-minded people. That Bob Berg, you mentioned him, he gets this from Napoleon Hill, his great book series, The Go-Giver. That's a Napoleon Hill concept, a la Think and Grow Rich. And I love Bob Berg. He's spoken at my event in California. And, you know, so thank you, Bob, as one of my faculty alumni the last 10 years. But, you know, they give up their time and their talent to come in. And many times they don't speak a lot. Lee Miltier, for example, this year. Lee Miltier, her bio is like 6 pages long, Tim. She works very close with Dan Kennedy for the last 20, 25 years. Doesn't do much public speaking anymore. Just came back from Asia and Japan for a month teaching her coaching in Japan and China. That alone is like mind expanding. But she does maybe a few private events a year. This is a public event I'm hosting. So look at it to get her. She was excited, but there was years and years of goodwill and trust and brand equity back and forth. I interviewed her. I believed in her book. She interviewed me for Trailblazers. And I finally said, Lee, we need to get you to my event. She's like, let's do it. So again, it's making sure you're not afraid to ask.
Yeah.
And also it raises the pressure on them in a fun way that, oh my goodness, Tony's got a really unique set of speakers here that don't push each other out of like pure alpha competition, but they'll might watch another speaker and they go, oh my goodness, I need to bring my A game and some new stuff. And it breaks them out of their comfort zone. So again, that intimacy, I call it what Dan taught me, the conversation in the hallway or the conversation at lunch. You know, we have lunch provided both days at the event. We give them workbooks. I want them to feel very welcome, that we're not chintzy at the event. Everything is done on a level where they feel very comfortable that the experience was top notch. Now, there might be things that go wrong, that happens, but every year we work on improving that, or we get feedback from the alumni. What could we do different? Okay, let's add that in. Let's add that in. Or, you know what? Shorten the number of speakers. This year, we have 4 core speakers. I do about an hour, hour and a half. But in many years past the boot camp, I've had 6 to 8. The feedback, general consensus in Chicago last fall was way too many speakers. We loved them all. Give us more teaching, deeper dive with fewer versus a kind of a showcase, Tim, where there's like bam, 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 bam. No, give us 4 or 5 to really lock in on so we can walk away with specific what to do next information.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. One, the fact that you're eliciting feedback, so you're giving people exactly what they want, which is amazing, right? And then two,
With a few wrinkles in there to keep them on edge. Like, how did he do that? And it's the fun effect where they go, hey, I was at that event 2 years ago and he brought that person in, or we had that, he gave an award out for something. And it's to watch their reaction that this is not your grandfather or grandmother's seminar.
yeah.
And they, whoa, and some of the masterminding that we do, the best practices, people have walked up and said, look, I'd pay you to do that all day long. So we know we have certain things that are core foundations every year don't change. If anything, we add more time for them. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you do when you're putting together an event for 10 years. You just get better and better and better at refining it. You never get, so I don't hear there's like no arrogance or condescending or hey, I've been doing this. What I hear is you just keep getting excited like a kid in a candy store. We're going to make it even better this year, right? I'm going to keep learning and getting feedback.
That's the driver, because in the lazy days of August, lazy days as we tape this, it's tough some days. I'm like, you know what? I could be focused on getting speaking clients in.
Sure.
I could be writing the next book, get that manuscript completely done. So that you're trading opportunity costs. But I know future pacing, fast forward out to October, I can already see in my mind's eye people at the event going, wow, we're so glad you let us know. Or, hey, we're glad we saved the date. Or, hey, thanks for mentioning to my friend that he could bring a guest along. And I look at the outcome. I have to see it because right now it's tough. There's distraction. And I'm going, okay, you've done this a while. You're in the dip. The dip is that point where you're like, it's sort of like, got to put the two-a-days in football. I used to play football. In August, we'd practice twice a day. It was brutal. It's like 90 degrees. You're dying. You're practicing 6 hours a day, twice a day. And you're like, what's it for? So when you hit the field in October, you're ready for it. Right. So if anything, the events to me are a joy. And I've also learned a lot, and I continue to learn a lot. I've had a couple events where I've lost a ton of money, Tim.
Sure. Yeah.
I've had promoters go, well, welcome to the club. I'm like, really? It'd been nice to have been to the club minus a few zeros and losses.
I don't know if you can avoid it, though. I mean, that's what makes people great, is that you get through those spots and you keep going, and that's what makes your events better and better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So how's that? We just gave an event marketing 101, 102 clinic the last 10 minutes.
Well, that is, and it really is. And it's not just for events, right? It's for anything. You got to have consistency over a long period of time. You got to be self-motivated because you see the bigger picture. You got to play the long game, not the short game, because the short game is what crushes people, because they think that I'm going to do my first event, I'm going to have 1 million people show up and make all kinds of money, and it's in 30 days. It's like, no, you're going to have to, get beat up a little bit and then learn from that and then come back stronger.
Yeah. And there are some anomalies. Some people can do an event. It's really about managing your expectations. Mm-hmm. And it's not contradictory to thinking large goals. However, I think, I'm in my 40s now, you get more pragmatic. Mm-hmm. In my 30s, it's like, rah, 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 I'm going to go, I can do it all. Then you kind of go, this is tiring. I don't want to do it all anymore. And you kind of go, okay, there's a smarter way. It's called systems, mentoring, specific direct action. You're more focused. And there's years where you really get it. There's some years where maybe you coast and you go, uh-oh, what's the lesson? Maybe you took things for granted. Maybe thought that people would want to go to this city. Maybe the price point was off because we didn't include meals, the flights to get to the airport. So there's moving pieces that you always have to be aware of. I think the other thing too is the event businesses, there's holidays. People have busy lives. They have children. I've got a ton of kids. They're older now, but you also have a holiday, I think every other week, it seems like, in the US alone. And then you've got back to school. Then you've got Christmas break. And you're like, okay, how do we schedule this thing in? So it's a moving target with key variables that don't change too much every year. But I still get sometimes a little nervous. And maybe that gives me a little edge to keep promoting, because I'm like, I hope they're seeing this. We're following that plan. That's why it's called a marketing campaign, not a strategy. Let me give another big clue. For any up-and-coming promoters or even salespeople is, well, I tried leaving a voicemail. I did a couple things. That's maybe a technique or a strategy. A campaign is like, what's your plan over 90 to 120 days? And I've learned that doing book launches with my publisher in New York, self-publishing launches. You see a lot of different teachers out there do events. Look at Hollywood. Movies are started to market sometimes 9 months to a year early to tease you. If you look at Marvel Comics, the great, the Avengers series, X-Men, they go to Comic-Con in San Diego to tip off their fans a year in advance to get feedback, let them spread it during the next 9 months while they drip out the trailers, the online ads. You get 60 days out, you start to see it in the theater. Then 30 days out, you see it all over YouTube on your phone if you're a comic book fan. Then a week before, you can't miss it. There's a new Avengers movie coming out. But that's been a 1-year strategic campaign. Now, Hollywood has the money, the budget to do that. The rest of us, best thing I could say is look at, if you can, a 90 or worst case, a 60-day campaign if you want to really get people to pay attention, because it's getting harder and harder. That's the beginning of our conversation. We're in a 9-second attention span world. 5,000 to 6,000 ads hit us every day. If I look you up real quick and in 15, 20 seconds don't maybe feel that you're legitimate, word of mouth, click, swipe right, swipe left, I'm on to the next potential you. So to me, it's fun. It has to be. And I tell you, when I get to the event, to me, it's fun because the event's going.
Yeah.
All of the hard work is getting people there, doing all the logistics. But once we get to the event, it's showtime. The speakers many times will sit in the audience with you and network with you. So it's kind of fun. Many times I'll sit, during the mastermind and move from table to table. So it also gives you access.
Yeah.
To meet great people. I have people that have been at my first event that are still friends 10 years later. I have friends from events that I met at Dan Kennedy's shows 20 years later. I still hang out with them. We're on my list. We talk a few times a year. So to me, that's another huge component. And people make deals happen. I hear about it within usually a month or two after the event. People are like, oh yeah, I'm doing a book deal with them, or they referred me to a vendor, or we're doing a joint venture. I'm like, that's awesome. Bring good people together that are open-minded, that aren't afraid to be an adult, that aren't scared by opposing viewpoints. It's very much, we said in the beginning, bring an open mind, because you're going to meet a lot of eclectic people that have a heart of gold, but see life from different angles. They're not all the same. I do not want the same people, all the same thought track, all the same teaching on my stage. I deliberately will also drop a firebrand or two, he or she, on that stage. Everyone goes, where'd you get him? I'm like, well, I heard about him, or it's kind of like my secret speaker. And some of the bureaus that are in the audience go, we need to get him or her. I'm like, yeah, now the secret's out. So I like to also debut some folks that almost never get a chance to see.
Yeah. Whew, so good. Again. All right. So you have learned so much over the 40-something years that you've been on this planet. Based on all this experience, Tony, if there was a nugget of wisdom that you could go back and tell the little boy that you once were, to help prepare him for this journey that was in front of him, what advice would you go back and tell little Tony?
I'm looking at a photo of me on my wall. My kids see it. My friends and clients that come to my office. It's a picture of me at 4 years old with this really tacky, like early mid-70s outfit on.
Yeah.
And I'm grinning with this grin like of awe, is to keep having fun. And don't take yourself so damn seriously. Yeah. I was so uptight in my 30s, Tim. No wonder I went through a divorce. I was, we're going to go. The alpha macho business boardroom stuff. I don't have any regrets on that. But if I could look back and tell myself, at 20 years old, don't lose that childlike curiosity, that spark, and have fun every day. Laugh. Yeah. Sometimes you get the weirdest things, that a deal that goes sideways. You have to hang the phone up and go, that was weird, but all right, next. And there's more people on the planet you can work with that maybe match or resonate better, that are better fit for you. So I think the last couple of years specifically, I've gone being back to have more fun. Because if you don't, this type of business, doing events and speaking where you're not always in control, it'll grind you up. And I'm just saying, you know what? I better have at least one exquisite, good laugh every day. I look for it. I'm like, and sometimes it happens in the morning. Sometimes it's a YouTube at lunch. It's a joke on a phone call. It's walking with one of my kids at night, or talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, oh my God, or it's a meme online. I just start cracking up. I specifically want to have that gift that humans forget as adults, is to have fun. What's the numbers? Average up to 3-year-old laughs 200 to 300 times a day. The average 15-year-old laughs 50 times a day, and someone over 30 laughs maybe 5 to 10 times a day.
Oh, wow.
They got this thing wrong. Now that's ballparking it, but you can look the numbers up. The point of it is, we take everything so seriously. We clutch and we clutch and we clutch and we hold. And I think when you get over the illusion that everything is permanent, like you can control it, and you start having more fun, your clients benefit. You
Yeah.
benefit because you're bringing a better you to an event or a book or a teaching or an interview. Is have fun with this.
Yeah.
No one's going to remember this in 100 years. I'm not being fatalistic. I'm saying put in perspective with the timeline of history. Laugh every day. Could be it.
Mm.
You know, I fly to a gig, you fly to a gig. What if this is it? What if this is
Yeah.
the last interview I do? And my kids go back a year from now and they see you and I being interviewed, or you interviewing me? I want them to go, oh my gosh, Dad, you know, that was interesting that Dad said that, and here we are.
Yeah.
You know, he's gone. And I'm having a lot of fun again, and for a while I wasn't. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
would tell the 20-year-old is don't grow up so fast, laugh every day, have fun, and do not be taken this so damn serious all the time.
That is outstanding. I really love that. That might be one of my favorite answers because I'm the same way, right? Just having a good time, enjoying the moment. We're always trying to get somewhere else, you know, instead of just enjoying where you're at right now. And so all the marketing in the world, all the sales in the world, all the events, everything that we do every day is because it's supposed to give us some kind of joy, right? It's supposed to bring passion into our life. That's why we're doing it. And if you can remember that now, then you can have fun now instead of saying, I'll have fun when,
Yeah.
you know, because it never seems to happen.
Well, they call it destination addiction. We're addicted to that. When we get there, this will happen. When I get that house, I'll be happy. When I get that car, when I get married, when I write that book, when I hit New York Times bestseller list, where we hit 100 attendees, I'll be happy. If you're not happy during the process, what makes you think if you hit the number, you're going to be like, oh, I'm magically happy? Because all your momentum has been working against you because you have expectations that you can't always reach. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at my bookshelf. I've got books everywhere in here, trying to find it, but the power of now. Oh, it's right here.
Eckhart
All right,
Tolle.
move on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Marked up quite a bit, dog-eared, simply because he's trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
Focus on right now. There's only one place I can be right now in this spectrum is you and I on a computer, the gift of technology, interfacing right now. I can't be anywhere else. I can't be in Detroit. I can't worry about the 3 phone calls I've just come in. You know? Focus on now. But more importantly, your listener, he or she listening right now, if you're still with us, thank you. You gave the gift of your time and attention. That's when I open up all my presentations. Thank you for the gifts of your time and attention. It is so hard to get it now. So why not thank people up front for that? Set the expectation that you're not taking them for granted. I break several Toastmasters rules as a former 12-year member. I thank the audience. And sometimes I tell them, look, I'm a little nervous. And you know what? You look great. They're like, wow, you shouldn't do that. Why not? Who defines what I can do or not do? But if I have an understanding of my audience, they're the reason I'm there, Tim.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm there.
Right. Well, I like that a lot. 1, because you decide your own rules. And 2, you're not doing it because you're nervous or getting cheap applause. You're doing it because you're connecting with the audience. You're being intentional based on experience, right?
Yeah.
And anytime you can validate people or lift them up, my acronym is LOVE, you know, LUV. You're going to love on people, listen to, understand, and validate.
Ooh,
right?
I like that.
You're going through life, you're just loving on your audience. You're helping people feel good first. You're adding value first. Right. And that's a message that you've been saying the whole time, you know, is have fun and help people feel good, help people feel appreciated. That's the 2 themes that you keep coming back to over and over again. Even if you're grabbing testimonials, the only way, or endorsements or referrals, the only way you've been able to do that is because you added so much value first.
Yeah. Well, think about how crazy, I'm going to take a guesstimate. You have a lot of leaders that listen to your podcast that are maybe CEOs, managers, speakers, authors. Every one of them has to speak in public. It's different groups have to lead or do a meeting or persuade or do a company, you know, some type of presentation. Here's what I would say that is unique. As a professional speaker, you do one of the top 5 fears in the world every time you touch the stage. For 3 people, 300 or 3,000. You deliberately go into a group of strangers. And think about how weird this is. You tell them your opinion. You get paid for the word, for the energy. And the whole time your body is in fight or flight mode, usually before you go on stage, during the presentation, in about a half hour to hour, you're coming down. That to me is an incredible amount of responsibility. It is very demanding from an energy level, as I've learned now in my 40s. And it also, if I get too comfortable, God forbid if I'm not nervous, I'm probably done speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that moment never arrives, or I'm too comfortable with the material. I'm mailing it in like I got this. I do want some tension, and also it brings a better performance. People ask me before I go on, you probably don't get nervous. I still do. And some people are like, you shouldn't tell them that. Why
Right.
not? I'm human.
Right.
And also, some venues, the sound's not working right. My slides aren't up properly. The people are the front row are like grumpy face or grumpy pants, and you still got to talk with them. And the show goes on. And I know
Right.
full well in the first 1 minute, 5% of the audience can't stand me. They don't like the way I look, the way I sound, my pictures. I kind of do a little bit of a upfront contract with an audience to say, here's some expectations. Like, oh, he's full of himself, or I don't like him. But who am I there to reach? Not them initially. It's fun at the end when they come up and buy a book, not because of my ego. They go, I didn't really like you, but there's a couple points there, and they reluctantly give me their money and they buy a book. I'm like, cool. I'm there to work with those that are receptive to the message. Not everyone's going to get it. I'm going to tick some people off. Jay Abraham taught me many years ago, it's better to be loved or hated than tolerated. And I didn't really quite get it in my 30s, but in my 40s now, it's okay not to be for everybody. It's okay to thank them for their time, but maybe they got an idea that I generated, but they didn't like my material or my books. That's fine. But two things I always tell an audience: please take away one or two things from me that help you, that either I co-create because I said something, or I showed a picture or told a story. And two, I don't ever want to waste your time. And right there, I'm setting expectations. And I also tell them I'm going to give them a lot of strong opinions, because we're in a world that's extremely too politically correct, almost to the point of censorship, because people are afraid to really speak their mind. Everyone wants authenticity, but if people don't agree with you, or you're worried they don't agree, you don't say what you really believe. Speak with conviction. We're in the United States, and it's going to sound political. I don't care. We have freedom of speech here. Utilize it. And also respect opposing viewpoints. If I disagree, it's called respectfully disagree. I'm learning now, 15 years full time, Tim, I have to do that in the beginning of the talk so I can get permission to speak the truth. Otherwise, people get like, oh my gosh. I'm not dropping F-bombs every other minute. I don't do that. Different speakers do that. More power to them. But it's building as quickly as possible a bridge with the audience. Even if I make them uncomfortable at points, say, look, we're all adults. Stop it. Stop being so uptight. Listen to maybe hear other viewpoints or stories. Look at a picture or a statement that totally don't agree with, and then question it when you leave. I like it when the doubters question things in the presentation, because I can see the light bulb go off. You see it too all the time. I'm like, it's not arrogance. It's being an adult. There's the quote. I'd rather be an adult with you, and because I'm not arrogant, let's be adults, shall we?
Yeah. That's really good.
Sorry, I feel like I'm on a preacher box, because you get it. And it's sometimes very challenging.
Tony, preach on, brother. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, I love it because I agree. You got to be yourself. You got to show up with your truth. And the whole point is to show people a different perspective. If they walk in exactly the same person and they walk out that way, then it was a waste of time them being there, right? It wasted everybody's time. If you walk in and you get another piece of the puzzle, right? If you get a different perspective, that's why you're there, so that you can walk out with, it might strengthen the view you already have, or it might challenge it and allow you to become stronger and more powerful than you were before. And that's the whole point of showing up to begin with, right? Yep. You're supposed to be challenged. Our doubts, our assumptions, our unconscious biases and beliefs, we're supposed to be challenged. We're supposed to, you don't always have to use shock and awe, but you should absolutely be trying to challenge people to grow beyond where they are right now. That's why they paid you, right? That's why they're here.
Look, we're here today. I flew in, you came, you drove, many of you came in last night, like me. We have 1 hour. I may never meet you again or see you again. Let's make the hour as valuable as possible. Yeah. Even if you don't like me. Maybe you get an idea, or you see a slide that triggers you or it resonates, take it from me. Because I know I don't want to waste your time. And especially as I get older now, Tim, I'm 47. I just turned 47. I go, thank God I'm still here. I can remember things. My kids are healthy. They're growing up now. But I say, you know what? Every time I take the stage, that could be it. I don't know. And it's, again, not trying to bring the Grim Reaper down on me or want to exit speaking. I just don't take this for granted. And I could. And sometimes I did. And I realized, boy, you were full of yourself and you were coasting on your talent, but you weren't really thinking of the audience sometimes. And you got too comfortable. And then, you get knocked down. Various things happen in life, and you reassess. You step back and you regroup and go, boy, what do I need to do different here? Because I'm not really seeing that I'm doing my best work. I'm kind of maybe sending it in. And I've had a couple points over 15 years where I kind of went through those phases. I'm just being real with you. And it's not always the glory of the stage and the standing ovation. It's as Larry Wingate taught me, it's the hundreds of hours that no one wants to talk about in the airports, missing ball games, writing, getting a hotel at 3 a.m, and you might get those 80 to 100 hours on stage. He tells it more eloquently. Larry Wingate's phenomenal. Interviewed him multiple times. He's a genius. But he was another mentor from afar that told me how it was going to really be. If you want to do this full time and you want to speak and you want to tour especially, A, you're never going to be around. And B, you better really enjoy those hours on stage because they're going to come at a price. That's called commitment. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sound advice. So first of all, I can't imagine that anybody would not like you because you have so much charisma, right? And
I have a couple ex-wives.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wish them well. I'm going to see a former here soon for my daughter. So
yes.
we'll always do our best to make amends. But I know certain people don't like me. And I can also tell you another reason why some don't. They tell me I'm too happy. Like, you're always joking around. You're too happy. Sorry, life is short. I got to be me. It doesn't mean everything like I'm cracking jokes at a funeral. I know when to be professional. I also want to laugh my ass off. And I'm going to take advantage of it every day if I can.
Well, there you go. And see, that's conviction, right? Do you want to be happy? And if somebody doesn't feel that way, then that's okay, right? So you're not trying to be everything for everyone. You're staying in your lane.
Nor am I trying to offend them or push, poke the bear. It's also saying, hey, I respect you don't like me and we can agree to that. And maybe I disagree with you. That's fine. I'm okay. Next, it's like there's a lot of this life goes so quick, Tim. That's the point. And I'm still like the last couple of years feeling like a rookie again. Like we're back in the game. A lot of change has gone on. And we and I talked about it, personal life. But all right, Lord, we're still in the game and we're still enjoying it. That's the key thing.
Well, the fact that you're, present enough to be so grateful for where you're at, right? Or you're grateful to have the opportunity to have the platform. You're grateful for the opportunity to be able to share your message and your gifts. That's exciting because people can feel that energy. Yeah, they just feel the authenticity, and that's what keeps them coming back over and over for a decade now. And that's really exciting. So is there any you've said so many good things. Is there, I could keep you on here all day long, but I know we got any last
My next
thought?
meeting would be upset with you.
I know. So, but I don't care if they don't like me because I'm going to keep you
Hey, you were paying attention. There you go.
Right. Any final thought you have?
I think if anything, keep doing the work you're doing. It matters. And I get this several times a week, and it's a very big honor. I don't take it lightly. As I want to do what you do. I want to write a book. I want to speak. Can I do coffee with you? And I always tell anyone considering teaching, we need more light workers to step up. There's no shortage of, speaking opportunities. We need people that aren't afraid to go out and speak their mind, their position of power, their strength, their expertise, their story. And there's a quote I use at the end of almost all my keynotes for the Trailblazer tour. It says, never downplay the significance of your own life story and the impact it can have on others. Everyone listening right now has got beautiful stories of wisdom, of highs and lows. I love to see teachers. I don't think myself as a speaker. I'm a teacher, and I'm still learning constantly from the audience, from my clients, from other speakers. This interview has given me a couple ahas that have been stuck in my mind that I haven't really verbalized. So just, never downplay the significance of how you can help others. I love to positively disrupt people every day. That's what I do. And it's through writing, it's through books, it's through speaking, it's through live events. And the joy is watching their light bulb go off is that, oh my gosh, I'm no different than him. I have gifts and talents too. I want them to turn their gifts and talents on and go spread it because everyone's got it. And I love to deliberately counter all the negativity online because it's an easy cop out to be negative, to complain, to whine, to go political. It's like, let's be really, really positive. And it makes some people mad. That's okay. But again, find your power, get around people that support you, and go share it with the world. That's really that's all I try to do is get that light bulb to click. When I see it, that's all. That's more joy than selling books to me, Tim. Is when someone goes, you know what, 10 years ago, you were in Indianapolis, I wrote a book, you changed my life. That to me is a bonus I did not count on. But it tells me that something connected that day and they moved on their own free will, not because of me. They took action, and that's all I can hope for.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So everybody watch for Tony's next book series called Positive Disruption.
I'll give you co-writing credits. 1819, this
That's
podcast,
right.
Tim was there.
I got to see it come alive. That's amazing.
There you go.
Tony Rubleski, everybody. Oh my gosh, Tony, this has been outstanding. You can find Tony's programs at mindcapturegroup.com and also mindcapturebootcamp.com. We'll have all your links in the show. So Tony, thanks so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome. I will see you in Detroit, Rock City.
Absolutely. Thanks for a mesmerizing interview. I really appreciate you. So, and for everybody that's listening, how about it, right? Go back, look at all. Tony dropped a lot of amazing golden nuggets. And so go back, listen to this again, share it with your friends. There's a lot of really powerful takeaways, strategies, tactics, mindsets, beliefs in here that'll help you to make your day, and your life a sure success. So thanks so much for listening.
Take care, bud.
Take care. Bye.
Hey, would you like more free tips on how to be a mesmerizing leader? Then check out mesmerizingleadership.com and also hang out with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Shurr. Thanks so much, and make your